Hi, I'm Russ Mitchell and welcome to Eye to Eye. Katie Couric is off today. A new Amish schoolhouse has opened its doors in Nickel Mines, Pennsylvania, not far from the scene of a horrific event 6 months ago, the school shooting that took the lives of 5 girls. The old schoolhouse has been torn down, but the memories still haunt the tight-knit community. The early show's Harry Smith spoke with a man who's helping them deal with their grief.
You've been in pretty constant meetings then with the Amish folks who have been so directly affected by the school shooting, right?
I have. At first it was sort of being a representative for them with the press, but then the Amish committee that was formed, called the Nickel Mines Accountability Committee, meets approximately every other week, and I've attended almost all of those meetings.
Is there a way for you to describe how that community is doing?
Well, I was at a meeting of this committee just this morning, and a couple of things I heard there again I think sort of symbolize it. Is they said, we feel the hurt, and it's a very deep pain that we're dealing with, and people are asking questions sort of that you go through the stages of grief. I think they understand a lot of that, and that some of the anger kinds of feelings come to the surface more right now. The one bishop again this morning said, every day we have to sort of start over on this forgiveness process. It's a journey. I think they see it as a journey. They know they need help from each other, and they're also using a good bit of professional counseling service because they know they need the help.
Does that seem unusual to you to reach beyond their community that way?
It is to a degree, although in this area they've developed some pretty good counseling services where they have a residential service that is sort of managed by the Amish, but it's alongside a psychiatric or mental health facility. And so they've used the outside professionals, but they, to some extent, manage the relationship. So they are somewhat accustomed to that here.
Yeah. I guess the story there were two stories. That in the immediate aftermath was the notion that somebody could come in and commit this kind of an act of violence. And then the immediate aftermath, the second part of the story, was about forgiveness. Is there still that sense of forgiveness in that community?
Yes, they hardly know how to respond to that question, because forgiveness is something that the Amish think about every day. They probably recite the Lord's Prayer every day. And that one phrase in there, just this morning again they reminded me of it, is every day we think of that phrase, forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. And the one way it was explained to me this morning again is that we need to forgive so that we will be forgiven, number one, but it's also the way to keep things right in the community with our fellow man, with our neighbors. And so it's a very practical thing.
How important is that story of forgiveness?
You know, the Amish are not an overtly missionary or evangelizing kind of people, but here all of a sudden they discovered themselves as being seen as this great witness to the world, and that was quite an experience for them. They'd say, oh, please don't honor us. They don't want to be guilty of pride. So it was an affirming experience for themselves, and maybe I think for some an education that, yeah, there is a witness that goes beyond just being a separate and different people.
From a larger perspective of somebody who lives in this area, certainly not immune to the problems of the world, but has it changed the way people look at each other here?
I personally have observed, you come up behind buggies on the highway a lot, and there's a lot of impatience expressed sometimes by drivers. I think I've noticed, it's been noticeable that you see less of that sort of hostile reaction to this buggy that's slowing me down. It's just one simple little example. So I think there are things like that, a deeper respect for the different way of living. But in terms of, so maybe it deepened the respect, and it certainly created a lot new friendships that didn't exist for some people before. It did for me personally. But I don't know that it changed the relationships more than just sort of a deepening, a strengthening of the bonds, that the way they are there.